During a shopping trip, Mira encounters the tournament's announcer, Sim Bongsa, and his family. She realizes that Bongsa is actually blind. Bongsa advises her to channel her emotions into her sword, encouraging her to discover the true strength of Moonlight Style. He reveals that it was Moonlight Style that blinded him. As Bongsa departs, he is approached by an NOX assassin named Priest Drake McDonald. Daewi, seeking answers, confronts Mujin and demands to know about the powers behind the tournament. Mujin reveals the concept of Charyuk, where fighters can borrow powers from gods, demons, and even historical heroes. He expresses his desire to find the strongest fighters utilizing these powers. The other members of the Six receive their summons and begin to take action. Daewi shares the information about Charyuk with Mori and Mira, which only fuels Mori's excitement about facing strong opponents. As the national tournament commences, shocking revelations come to light. It is revealed that Drake not only killed Bongsa, but also seemingly Commissioner Q, raising the stakes and intensifying the conflict. Mori and his friends face off against the North Chungcheong regional champions in the national tournament. Mori attempts to use Bongcham's acupuncture techniques for strength, but accidentally paralyzes himself and ultimately loses to Na Gyedong, the North Chungcheong champion. Meanwhile, Drake, the NOX assassin, boasts to Commissioner Q about killing Sim Bongsa, along with his wife and baby. However, Q manages to recover and activates his Charyuk, which takes the form of a scythe-wielding Joker-playing card. Q retaliates, severing Drake's arms in the process. However, Drake regenerates his limbs using his Charyuk, known as Caterpillar. Daewi faces Jin Pumguang, a hardworking man who aspires to help struggling children in school. Pumguang summons his Charyuk, known as Labor, which manifests as a giant hammer. Despite Pumguang's efforts, Daewi manages to knock him unconscious and emerges victorious. In another intense battle, Q almost defeats Drake, but two NOX assassins, Priest Saturn and Axley Ivanovic, intervene. Commissioner O arrives to assist Q in the fight against the NOX members. Meanwhile, Mira faces off against Zhang Jiangmi, a skilled kendo practitioner. Mira emerges victorious, securing a win for their team. The situation takes a dramatic turn when Saturn and Axley retreat, and Drake triggers an explosion from his own body, causing significant damage to the top of the building. Mujin suspects a traitor among their ranks, as NOX seem to have obtained Q's home address. Furthermore, a severed arm belonging to Jin Tijin, Mori's missing grandfather, is discovered, suggesting that he has been defeated and captured. At the start of the next team matches, where Jegal Teak initiates his match and unleashes his Charyuk, known as Megalodon, Teak brutally attacks and mutilates his opponent, displaying a sadistic and violent nature. Daewi intervenes in the match but fails to prevent Teak from claiming a ruthless victory. The South Giala team enters the semi-finals after Park Ilpio's victory. Ilpio utilizes the ancient martial art Tikayon and his Charyuk, Nine-Tails Guardian, to secure his win. Mori becomes suspicious when he notices that the tiger symbol on Ilpio's jacket is the same as the one on Tijin's military uniform. Curiosity piqued, Daewi expresses his interest in acquiring a Charyuk of his own, while Mori decides against using Charyuk in his fights. Mori is approached by Ilpio, who reveals that after his father's death and his mother's abandonment, Tijin gave him a Tikayon training manual written by Ilpio's deceased grandfather. This act inspired Ilpio and set him on his martial arts journey. Trouble brews when Teak, an assassin, targets Ilpio. In the ensuing chaos, Mori finds himself in mortal danger, but Ilpio comes to his rescue, saving his life. Meanwhile, Commissioner Q discovers that Sim Bongsa's wife and baby are alive, and it is revealed that Drake had actually killed doppelgangers created by Priest P after the real Bongsa's demise. Mujin informs Q that 9 months' worth of salary will be confiscated to cover the damages incurred during his fight with Drake. Q encounters Daewi, who realizes that Q is in dire financial straits and offers him 1 free meal a day in exchange for Charyuk training. Mujin informs the commissioners that they now have permission to utilize the full power of their Charyuks to prevent NOX from assassinating the key, a significant development in their ongoing conflict. Mori becomes increasingly despondent over the absence of Tijin. However, Daewi and Mira receive anonymous messages informing them that it is Mori's birthday. They rush to celebrate with him, lifting his spirits and renewing their determination to win the tournament together. They decide that after the tournament, they will have a duel to determine who among them is the strongest. To Mori's surprise, he receives a map and a photograph showing Tijin imprisoned but still alive, albeit missing an arm. Daewi was suspended due to his interference in Teak's match. With Daewi out of the picture, their team will automatically lose unless both Mira and Mori emerge victorious. However, Mori is missing, leaving Mira to fight alone. Mira begins her duel against Lee Marin, who reveals that he possesses Mira's stolen Bakan. Marin explains that he has unlocked the full power of Moonlight Style, the martial art associated with Mira, and transforms her Bakken into the sword Fengxian. Mira manages to retrieve Fengxian momentarily, but the sword recognizes Marin as its true owner and returns to him. Meanwhile, Mori follows the map that supposedly leads to his missing grandfather, Jin Tijin. However, he realizes too late that it was a trap as the fake Tijin explodes. The bomber, Fei Long, reveals his motive of killing weaker fighters like Mori in order to locate the key faster. Fei Long also discloses that he uses the Charyok doppelganger to create clones. Back in Mira's fight, Marin stabs her, declaring her too weak to wield the power capable of killing God. The clones overwhelm Mori until Fei Long reveals that Marin and his team were already dead, replaced by NOX cultists disguised using doppelganger. Enraged by the deception, Mori uses an acupuncture technique to temporarily nullify pain and unleash his full strength. Mira, refusing to give up, experiences a divine inspiration, granting her the Charyok Lubu Fengxian and the true ownership of the Fengxian sword. Marin attempts to utilize his Charyok Kraken but ultimately falls to Mira's newfound power. In a surprising twist, Mori suddenly reappears and effortlessly defeats the second NOX imposter. Flashbacks suggest that Mori killed Fei Long to avenge the real Marin. Bongshim, Mori's elderly former instructor, admits that Mori has grown from being Tijin's tiger cub into a true tiger, recognizing his growth and strength. Ilpio reflects on the past, remembering how Teak defeated his teammate Seunjo, which resulted in her ending her martial arts career. Determined to help Seunjo, Ilpio sets his sights on getting her the necessary surgery to fix her leg. Mujin gathers Mori and his friends and reveals that NOX worships a single god and plans to eliminate all other gods and Charyok users. Meanwhile, Fei Long, who was thought to be dead, is revealed to be alive. However, Teak arrives and extracts all the information he needs from Long before murdering him, declaring his intent to claim the key. Mujin informs Mori that he is currently too weak to assist Tijin, but if Mori wins the tournament, he promises to provide valuable information. Daewi emerges victorious in his semifinal match against Ilpio's teammate, Park Seunga. Seunjung scolds Ilpio, urging him to keep a promise he made to Tijin instead of worrying about her. Mujin confronts Sang Mandiok, a high-ranking member of the NOX cult who has infiltrated the arena. However, Mandiok summons his god, unleashing chaos. In the midst of the chaos, Mori faces off against Ilpio, who astutely points out Mori's weaknesses. However, Mori begins to overcome his weaknesses by adapting the fighting styles of both Mira and Daewi. Seo Henryong, one of the six, intervenes by using his 108 national treasure weapons to battle the god and protect the arena. After a grueling fight, the god is defeated, and the arena is saved from destruction. Meanwhile, Mori manages to defeat Ilpio, who recalls the promise he made to Tijin to help Mori grow as a fighter whenever he had the chance. In a surprising turn of events, Ilpio receives divine inspiration from his Charyok, the Nine-Tails Guardian, and awakens a new power. Mandiok joyfully declares that the key has finally awakened. It is later shown the history of the Nine-Tailed Guardian. Thousands of years ago, the Guardian was betrayed by God and, in his rage, destroyed half of heaven before fleeing to Earth, vowing revenge. All Charyok users instinctively feel the awakening of the Nine Tails and are filled with fear, except for Mori, who remains excited. While Ilpio becomes stronger with his new power, he also experiences intense pain. Mori's match against Ilpio reaches a critical point, with Ilpio displaying superior strength. However, Mori suddenly taps into a mysterious power that overwhelms even the Nine Tails, allowing him to secure a surprising victory. Daewi and Mira question Mori about whether he unlocked a Charyok, but Mori himself is uncertain. Sensing the defeat of the Nine Tails, Mujin orders Ilpio to be immediately secured, while Mandiok, a high-ranking member of NOX, flees the scene. Mori visits Ilpio in the hospital and reveals that Jin Tijin is still missing, raising further concerns. In another part of the hospital, Jian Jugok, who lost his Charyok called Mage after being defeated by Teak, gains a new Charyok from Mandiok called Greed. This power allows him to absorb others to increase his own strength. Jugok attacks Teak, but Teak retaliates by biting Jugok in half with his Charyok, Megalon. As a result, everyone Jugok absorbed is expelled, including Ilpio's teammates, who are revealed to have had their limbs bitten off by Megalon. Filled with fury over Teak injuring people he cares about once again, Ilpio launches an attack against Teak. Meanwhile, Mandiok opens a portal to summon gods once more, unleashing an army of creatures. With the key located and the approaching threat of the creatures, Mujin declares the God of High School tournament officially over, saying Mandiok summoning God incarnate in a desperate final act to destroy the entire world. The United States becomes aware of the situation and decides to launch nuclear missiles on Seoul in an attempt to subdue the old god. This decision disregards the lives of hundreds of thousands of people who will be lost in the process. Meanwhile, the fight between Teak and Park Ilpio continues. Teak reveals his true form, gaining the upper hand in the battle. He consumes Ilpio, releasing the key from within him. In a frenzy upon the appearance of the key, various characters, including members of the Six, servants of the god, and Jin Mori, all scramble to seize the key. Ultimately, Mori emerges with the key in his possession. To protect the fighters, Park Mujin teleports them to a spirit realm. As the missiles approach and the citizens of Seoul frantically seek shelter, Jian Yixin, using his transmutation magic, teleports all the people of Seoul to a cliffside outside the city. From there, they witness the destruction of the god at Yixin's hand. In a blinding flash, Mori and the other fighters are transported back to Seoul, where they find the lifeless body of the god. In the final moments, the key is stolen by Teak and consumed by him, resulting in his ascension. All present bear witness to this monumental event. Following his consumption of the key, Teak undergoes a transformation and transcends his mortal body to become a god. With his newfound power, he begins to attack Jin Mori and his friends, threatening to consume everything in his path. However, Mori's memory is triggered, and he suddenly remembers his true identity as the great god Sun Wukong, also known as the Monkey King. Although Mori doesn't recall many details of his life before becoming immortal, he instinctively jumps into action and summons his Rui Jingu staff to confront Teak. With his staff, Mori engages in a fierce battle, delivering powerful punches and summoning nimbus clouds to strike Teak with lightning. Teak, enraged by Mori's attacks, undergoes a monstrous transformation. Mori's friends join the fight, combining their strength to face Teak. They work together to deliver the final blows, ultimately defeating him for good. The battle takes its toll, but the group emerges victorious. Kim Un-nyo, the founder of the Six, is awakened from her slumber in a cave and congratulates the group for successfully completing the tournament. She offers them a chance to have one wish granted. Initially, Mori intends to wish for his grandfather's return, but upon realizing that Ilpio's friends have lost their limbs, he selflessly wishes for their complete healing. Un-nyo reveals to Mori that his grandfather is still alive, giving him a renewed sense of hope. However, Mori's consciousness fades as a result of the intense battle. He awakens 3 months later, finding Daewi and Mira by his side. They inform him that in order to recover his memories as a god, they must embark on a journey to the Monkey King's place of origin.